This has been a most interesting intervention, because there are several fields of action. There is the scientific field. Well, it's up to you to do your job. We need better diagnosis to be able to precisely identify who's got EHS and who doesn't have EHS. So it's also important that people should understand whether or not they are EHS. So that's the first step, to identify, determine whether these people are EHS or not. But then the next step is how to help these people. And I'm happy to hear that there are people who are looking for refuges, or trying to offer refuges to these people. Once they've been diagnosed, what do these people do? If remain in a place which is electromagnetically polluted, they cannot live anymore. They're discriminated against. They have to try and protect themselves all the time. It's a hell of a life to be EHS. And we should not forget about that. So it's up to the scientists to find markers, better diagnosis methods, and then it is up to us politicians to find places for them, safe havens for them. And our goal should be to help them move from their EHS condition to a normal life. There are people who have done that, and they've been able to find places almost without electromagnetic fields. But there is help. We should be able to help these people lead normal lives. There have been many studies. You have mentioned STOA, which is an office similar to OPEX in France, where there are MPs from different political tendencies, where independent studies can be carried out, and it has been shown that electromagnetic fields have biological effects, physiological effects. That's been shown. And there, the lowest possible levels have to be sought. But what I entirely agree on is that we have to fight against a huge lobby, the whole industrial, military lobby, the telecommunications lobbies, and they lobby the Commission, the European Commission, to make sure that us MEPs are not allowed to express our opinions against giving money to industrials. You know, for example, that the Commission is going to give 900 million euros to finance the 6G. Now, nobody knows exactly what it is. There has been no study about the health impact of 6G. So all these fields many of these fields are actually beyond our control. That's why I found your intervention particularly interesting. So how can we successfully oppose that military and industrial lobby, the mobile phone operators lobby, a commission? How can we oppose a commission who only thinks in terms of digitalization and who only thinks that the future is only that? So we're struggling to make sure that justice is done, that there is justice, because we're not even able to vote on opinions that go against the grain. So we will have to undertake court cases and at least find out if the citizens agree to have on our streets completely autonomous vehicles, completely connected cities. At least we need to make sure there is some kind of European sovereignty on industrial patents. So what is urgent, in my opinion, still in relation with those lobbies, is, we should urgently work on the position of the WHO. we need to organize a meeting with the WHO scientists and politicians to tell them you have to work on that. Because it is urgent. It is urgent. Because there is a lobby which is already telling the WHO, you said that electromagnetic fields were probably carcinogenic. Well, you need to remove that. But that goes against the very goal of the WHO, the reason for their existence. So we need to interfere with that. I was telling you earlier about Monsanto. When the CIRC, International Center of Research Against Cancer, said glyphosate is carcinogenic, and all the agencies in the USA, EFSA in Europe, everywhere, they said no, it's not carcinogenic. Well, it was through legal actions. I met the American farmer who won the lawsuit against Monsanto, and he won 75 million euros. It was thanks to our justice system that we could bring out to the light of day the Monsanto papers, and we could demonstrate that all the scientists who were carrying out studies were paid by Monsanto. Well, here we are facing the same kind of situation with electromagnetic fields. They are so strong, they are so powerful, they are so rich that they're able to pay scientists to make them lie. Either they lie or they lose their jobs and their funding. And these operators are now short-circuiting the democratic system. They are directly lobbying the Commission. And what do we do now? So the only solution now is the courts, the trade unions, the courts. We should go through the courts, use the courts to win our case. But this will consume a lot of renewable energy. So what I suggest, if you agree, because we should really keep in touch, is that we should seek an urgent meeting with the WHO, because they can play their role. They are corrupt. You may say they are corrupt and so on, but we should try anyway. We should also meet the people of the International Center of Research Against Cancer, CIRC, because they have to be aware of our existence. They have to be aware that there are studies that have been carried out and that they cannot shift position just like that for no reason at all. Now, fighting for the recognition of EHS, of course. But if people keep saying, well, electromagnetic fields are not carcinogenic anymore, well, it means we can't do anything anymore. We become powerless. So we should do what is urgent first. Take a few urgent steps before anything else. I would like to add something to what has been said. I entirely agree with the person who said that EHS has to be considered to be a medical condition without any bias in terms of etiology, whether it comes from electromagnetic fields, it stems from electromagnetic fields or chemicals. It's easier for WHO to recognize an illness than to recognize that an illness is caused by something specific. So first, the recognition of the illness. Now, there are two very important words, adaptation and prevention. What is suggested to EHS right now, for lack of any better solution, what we can do is adaptation. Provide white areas without EMFs. But that is not prevention. Prevention means removing the true causes. Of course, the emergency is adaptation, but a deeper action should go into the realm of prevention. Now, You should not believe that being a scientist is easy. You just throw the ball in the court of the scientist. Well, you just manage, you find a solution, for a diagnosis, for everything. That's not how things are done. There are as many divisions among scientists than among politicians. So what I'm trying to do now, what I've always been trying to do, is bring together the scientists who work on medical aspects and bring them together, make them join forces. And try to make them speak with one voice in the international scientific community. Another point is that, well, there is a book you should read and ask you to please read it. It's Thomas Kuhn is the author. It was written several years ago. It is called The Structure of the Scientific Revolution. It means that electro-hypersensitivity is not a simple issue. We need physicians, we need biologists, we need physicists, we need physicians, we need biologists, we need politicians and lawyers. So medical conditions are to be described by physicians. Scientists have to describe the effects of electromagnetic fields and so on. So scientists should get together, should join forces. And I will wind up by saying that we need the courts, we need the intervention of justice to win lawsuits. But in order to win lawsuits, you need robust scientific data. A lawyer cannot fight for a cause without any scientific basis. If scientists appear before the court being divided about EHS, we will not win the case because we will give weapons to our enemies. So scientists should join forces. That's one thing. And then the WTO. We have been working on the WTO. We set up a scientific committee with all sorts of brilliant people, but the WTO is not easy stuff because 50% of the funding of the WTO comes from operators, industrials. So we fall back into the lobby issue. So we need a consensus-based meeting about electromagnetic fields and electrosensitivity, hypersensitivity. We need to have that again as it was done in Atlanta in 1999 about MCS. So we have some work to do. And we're in that consensus-based meeting, we really need high-level scientists, not politicians, not EHS patients, really well-known scientists, well-known for their work and their knowledge in the field of hypersensitivity. We can work together to organize that meeting, but we need funding. I can provide all the scientists you need, Americans and all the nationalities you wish for. But do you have the money to organize that kind of meeting? Because the WHO will not give us a cent. But given that they didn't have such a consensus meeting for the last 15 years and they're outdated, they have not taken into account the current research.
Une intervention?
Another comment? Yes, thank you. Thank you, Professor. Yes, I believe that the WHO already clearly recognized MCS, yes, because I already, yes, they recognized MCS, but not EHS. Yes, but if they recognized the MCS, they must recognize EHS, because I won a legal case. They went to the home of the patient, and that was based on the recognition made by WHO. So I believe that this is a card that we must use, and WHO cannot avoid recognizing EHS. But as you said, this is a process, and it will be time consuming, but it is important. You talked about the threshold that needs to be reduced for EHS and MCS. For EHS, you talked about brain imaging. You said that the zones were visible, but I would like to know, in terms of the pathology, whether this is irreversible or not. But I believe that the struggle has already started on the basis of the recognition of MCS by the WHO. Yes, this question of irreversibility is an important question, and we have looked into it. It would mean that the disorder and the condition could disappear in some patients, especially if they are treated at an early stage. Now, indeed, about the WHO, you said that they recognized MCS. It was a difficult process, but you are right. They recognized MCS, but they haven't recognized the fact that MCS is related to EHS. That's why we need to go on with our research and our studies, and they need to be validated by WHO. All right. These will be the very last words of our meeting today. I would like to thank you very much for being with us today. I would like to tell you that we're going to support you. We're going to fight for EHS patients, because if we are here, it's for you. It's for all these people who are suffering, and we really need to find a way to cure them, to find solutions so that they can lead a better life. So we have many struggles to lead from a legal point of view, from a legislative point of view. We have lawyers in the room. I believe you have a lot on your plate. And then, of course, we need to make sure that scientists can find a consensus to move ahead, and financial means. Now we'll try to see in the field of research how we can help and make a contribution and try to avoid all conflicts of interests, because Horizon 2020 is providing a lot of money for health and environmental issues, but it's always the same people who get the money, and they do not have the clean groups, if I may say, compared to the research they want to develop. So thank you to all of you, and I would also like to thank the interpreters, says Mrs. Rivasi. The interpreters would like to thank you too. Thank you very much, and have a safe journey back home, and I wish you all the best.